All right, so let's talk about Disney and how they're losing money hand over Razorfist. That joke would have landed better if he'd actually been on the panel.
Yes, it would have.
Yeah. But we got this article about Disney's latest earnings call where Disney's shares slip as streaming losses narrow and subscribers leave in droves. So they basically lost 4 million subscribers. What they're not telling you in general is that those subscribers were mostly Indians who left after it became clear that Disney Plus had lost the streaming rights to the World National Cricket League or something like that.
Yeah.
Only 300,000 North Americans bailed on Disney Plus, but they still have 150 something million subscribers. But basically, things aren't looking good for Disney. They're basically losing a lot of money. They're losing a lot of market share. Their stock is down. They keep actually their theme parks are the things that are keeping them afloat, but not the American theme parks. It's the ones in Asia and Europe and stuff like that that are actually doing pretty well. So I wanted to throw it to the panel and see what you guys think about Disney basically just hemorrhaging money at this point. Odin, you are our wonky analyst here. What's your take on this?
No, I mean, I'm so glad that you always add the context of the 3 million or so people, the huge portion of the population that left Disney Plus specifically because of them losing access to cricket, which for us in North America doesn't really make any sense. But knowing how large it is, especially in that part of the world, in that area of the world, it again completely makes sense. But yeah, you look to these numbers and it makes sense because the content that they're putting out there is just not very good, And I think Disney is having this day of reckoning, and it's like a long extended day of reckoning.
Shane got him
because their stock is being hurt, their public image is hurt, their involvement in politics, losing money. With the prime exception being Avatar: The Way of Water. That's the only film that's made them a crap ton of money over the last few years. I mean, their Marvel films, Ant-Man and the Wasp alone, Quantumania, lost again in a best case scenario, right? Giving the most generous numbers, still lost money, still didn't make its money back. And so you take all of these factors in, and even though I do think that Guardians is actually right now tracking well, at least enough to be able to make its money back, it's still going to end up being the lowest in the entire Guardians franchise. It's still going to be in that low, that low end point that Thor 4 and even the Black Panther 2 fell into. So I think that you're ultimately looking at this collective downfall in almost every single area of their industry. And I think at some point the stockholders need to actually, start to speak up and say, yeah, y'all need to start making some major changes to this.
Yeah, it was funny because the last earnings call that they did, people actually got on there and started giving Bob Iger a hard time about, putting politics ahead of entertainment and making it not family friendly anymore and stuff like that. But Richard Fox, you've been a longtime critic of how Disney has handled Star Wars because as a science fiction author, Star Wars was very important to you and stuff like that. So what's your take on this? Is this just Disney getting their just desserts? And at what point are they going to wake up and realize that they have to start catering to an audience?
I think that Disney's problem is largely corporate because Disney buys Star Wars, which was quite profitable. Disney buys Pixar, and then the movies that come out aren't as great. Disney buys Marvel, and the movies that come out after that aren't as great. And I think what it's coming down to is Disney thinks, oh, look, we have bought this property, and now we're just going to put our little bit more of corporate overlordism on it. And they think they're going to get the same good stuff coming out. It's not the way it works. I don't know if you guys have ever written or done any kind of art, but the more people who have influence on the art before it comes out typically makes it worse. So the more chefs in the kitchen, and then in the process of the creation, now all of a sudden all the good ideas start getting tamped down. Or you have that one executive who I really want to have C-3PO to have a red arm. That way we don't have to pay George Lucas any additional royalties. You get these decisions being made, and it ends up diluting, what they bought. And so when you have a really inferior thing that comes out, and the people who go to Star Trek and Marvel, they all have this experience, this expectation of this is going to be the thing that I already like. And then Disney says, no, we're going to give you not what you like. We're going to give you what we think you should like. And then the audience is like, I don't like this. And then the audience goes and does something else. and the audience doesn't come back to see Star Wars 7 times in the theater like I did when Episode 1 came out, because I was a huge Star Wars fanatic at the time, and now I don't think I would even bother going to see the next Disney movie or the next Star Wars movie when it comes out, because the quality and storytelling has been consistently just not worth it. Like, I was so excited when Star Wars was coming back. I was like, oh, I got to take my sons to go see Star Wars just like my dad did, and then I go and see The Last Jedi, and I'm like, what was this? And I don't want to take my kid to, I don't want to subject him to this, because and on the way out he's gonna be like, Dad, you're mad at the movie, aren't you? Like, yeah, it wasn't good, and my kids are already used to me being able to just like pick apart why something wasn't good. And when it comes to Disney, I had Disney Plus for a while. It wasn't that great, and I'm at the point now where I'm like, I'd rather have my kids watching Vlad and Nikki, sell them toys on YouTube, instead of like, let's try to find something decent on Disney Plus. It just doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah. So Brian, one of the interesting things here is Disney's streaming losses, and I mean, if you look at this, it looks like between 2021 and 2022, there was some hope for them to start getting profitable, but and that went away real quick. And it's kind of surprising to me, like how much money they're spending, not just on content, but also on just operating a streaming service. And they're second to Netflix in terms of subscribers. But what's your take on this? Do you think Disney's ever going to make streaming profitable?
Yeah. So this actually doesn't make any sense. It just smells like mismanagement to me, because they are making, I think we did the math a couple days ago. They're making what, $35 billion a year on Disney Plus, if their subscriber numbers are correct. There's no way that it's costing so much to ban bandwidth to host the streaming that they're losing money. That's not the main reason. Is it license costs? Are they paying a bunch of license fees to creatives in the back end for content that maybe they used to have on network television or cable, and now they have to pay those license fees over for streaming? I don't know what the answer is, but if you're making that much money, you shouldn't be in the red. And I'll tell you this: if Disney Plus can't get it right, then is the streaming model doomed? And I used to be one of those people that thought, I hope it's not. I like streaming. I don't like traditional cable, traditional network television. I hate ads, right?
Mm-hmm.
Except for, I got this new perspective this week. I believe that the streaming model, I believe that it's inherently broken, because it removes the free market equation from creating television and movies. Let me explain. If you like a movie, you go watch it, or you don't. And they either make money or they don't. If you like TV, you watch it. Ads, they get to have better ads on it. It either makes money or it doesn't, right? But in streaming, most people continue to keep their service even when 90% of what they're putting out is garbage, which means because their back catalog, right? I have Disney Plus because the back catalog. There's nothing current that I care about. I don't give a shit about anything that's current on Netflix or Disney Plus, but I'm keeping them because the back catalog, which means they have a subscriber regardless, even if they don't produce good content, which is why they can keep producing crap like the Cleopatra thing or the garbage that Disney's putting out. They can make mistakes and they don't feel it. They have completely bypassed the free market, because most people, not all, but most people are going to continually subscribe to these channels anyways, which means there's an inherent flaw in it, because the people that you're serving, your customers that you're serving, aren't really in charge of the content. So I don't know what's going to happen, but if Disney Plus can't make it work, how can anyone make it work?
Wasn't Disney Plus late to the streaming game anyway?
They were
Not
late, but
really.
they took over it instantly, right?
Well,
They what?
they also you have to keep in mind that they have ESPN as its own standalone streaming service, and they also had Hulu. So like they've got a number of different streaming services. By the way, Tom from Midnight's Edge, if you want to hop in, I sent you the link on Twitter. But you know, Brian, one of the interesting things about that is that most streaming services they base their growth on new subscribers. And so Disney did a lot of like kind of like weird marketing stuff where they offered like discounts or like free months or something like that to get people in.
Right.
And so I think that their overall sub count is a little bit inflated because not all those people are paying full price, and some of them aren't even paying at all. Some of them are from like other things like ESPN or Hulu. It's not all Disney Plus, but what we're seeing more and more of is, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later on when we get to the Twitter stuff, is that more and more streaming services are moving to an ad-supported model, because one of the flaws with what you were talking about is that when cable TV came around, you know, like cable TV is basically the same model where you pay like a single cable price, but it's also ad-supported, and so like the free market aspect of it came with like the ratings, where like, you know, you could charge more for the ads in popular TV shows. With streaming, like you said, it's just like a flat fee, and so like, yeah, streamers can take more risk with stuff, but it also means that they're not punished when they start churning out crap like the Willow TV show and, you know, like all this like woke garbage that Disney Plus seems to be pushing. Speaking of woke garbage, Matt Vader 74, you are notoriously hateful towards all things Disney Plus simply because, you know, of the wokeness. In fact, you even gave like the new Jedi Star Wars cartoon series a try, and you just couldn't get into it.
Well,
what's your take
listen,
on this?
man, I have Disney Plus for two reasons. Number one is because we watch stuff on Disney Plus that we review for the podcast, and honestly, all of our various YouTube channels, we all are kind of reliant on Disney Plus for content in many ways, even those of us that hate Disney, right? So yeah, I think I'm subscribed to pretty much every streaming service there is that exists out there, and I watch two of them on a regular basis, and one of them is Disney because of this. The other reason is because I have grandkids, and my wife just for some reason insists on paying for their Disney Plus, even though they have parents that should be doing that. But that's a whole other story. Yeah, if I wasn't doing the podcast, if we weren't doing this simply for content, I would not be a Disney Plus subscriber. There is nothing good really on this thing anymore, unless I want to go back and watch old Star Wars movies, or you know, or stuff I can probably watch on other streamers. I think like Indiana Jones, I don't even know if it's on Disney Plus anymore, but I think it's over on Paramount or something. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Yeah. But you know, it's not good. It's not one of my go-to streaming services, that's for sure. I find it interesting that regardless of the India situation with it, that they still can't figure it out. They lost 300,000 subs over the course of Mando season 3. Is that right?
In North America and Canada.
Yeah, and that's simply because Mandalorian season 3 was terrible. Mm-hmm. And you would think they would be able to figure this out, but they would think that maybe they need to start making content that people like us out there actually want to watch, because there's not enough people out there that do podcasts that need content that are going to keep their service alive, simply because we need something to watch. And pretty soon I'm going to get tired of it anyway, and I'm going to move on to some other channel. I'll watch Pluto and watch the Star Trek channel 24/7. It's no problem.
I wonder if there's a way to be able to track when trials expire, because I'd actually be interested to see how much of the like 300,000 is coming directly because their free trial, you know, ended and so they didn't re-up or something like that. You know, like how much of it is people actually canceling their subscription, like a paying customer, canceling, versus someone who just had it for free and then didn't, pay.
Yeah, there used to be a service called Waterfall that was able to track your streamings, and it doesn't exist anymore that I know of. But you were able to track your streaming services and then pause and restart or whatever, and it would it would go and cancel it and turn it back on for you. That way you could just turn your stuff on and off when you didn't want to watch it, or whether there were shows you wanted to watch or whatever. It was really cool.
Well, I know that I think I read a report where Disney Plus does have a high churn rate, which means that it's a high rate of people unsubscribing and then like resubscribing and stuff like that. So they're constantly losing subscribers. But you would think that a streaming service that has Star Wars, Marvel, and Pixar on it would be like a no-brainer, right? Especially for family entertainment. But as Disney's gotten more political, more and more families are unsubscribing because they don't want their kids exposed to that stuff. Marvel is on a slow and steady decline. Star Wars has been awful since 2018. So like more and more people who are fans of these, what should be evergreen, franchises, are just moving on. Like Mandalorian season 3, like I know that the Star Wars faithful subscribed to that, and we all watched it, but it was garbage, and
terrible.
so was Book of Boba Fett, and so like there's only so much abuse that we can take and pay for, before we decide to move on.
I mean, I can't imagine us not doing Star Wars content on this channel, but we don't do Marvel content, and we don't do Marvel content because none of us can stand to watch it. And
Right. That's
we're
true.
almost there. We're almost there. We can only, self give our, I don't know, self mutilate ourselves, self torture
Yeah.
ourselves so much.
Only
before
so
we're,
much sadism.
done. Right.
You know what's interesting?
Right.
We had a Star Wars channel, a
I
Disney
think
channel,
that
and a
Disney-
Marvel channel, and we stopped doing Marvel content because it was like we were like, well, we don't like any of this. Like we just hate it. So all right, never mind.
Yeah. It could also be Disney might be just the tip of the iceberg with streaming too, because if you think about it, now there's so many streaming services. Now it's getting to the point where you're paying basically as much as you used to pay for cable for all the different streaming services.
Even
So
more.
yeah, exactly.
I
So
pay
I'm
about
wondering if
$120
maybe
a
that's
month for
going to
everything.
lead to other services seeing similar drop-offs, or because now technology is becoming so much cheaper. I know that I have my own at-home server. Like, so how many more
Right.
people are going to start just to do that instead? And then, hey, you got them
Plex.
all available,
I,
and you still got the convenience.
You're using
Just-
Plex, Odin?
Listen,
Oh,
just,
yeah.
Oh yeah,
just
me too.
I had this conversation with my wife just this week about it's time to cut the cable off because when you scroll through the cable guide, there's nothing on it. It's nothing. It's garbage. It's rednecks building cabins in Maine, and stupid reruns and Price is Right. It's awful. And I told my wife, I go, we can watch everything we want to watch because we have all of these stupid streaming channels that we don't even utilize properly. And then just this week, just a couple days ago, and I know I'm late to the party on this one, I found Pluto TV, and Pluto TV has literally the exact same shit in it that you find when you scroll through the cable guide.
Yeah.
Some of it's even better because they have dedicated channels, the genres we like, including all the news networks and everything. It's crazy what I'm finding on Pluto TV. It's weird. So if there's services like that out there, plus the and it's free, by the way, plus the ones we pay for, what do we need cable for?
Yeah, you don't.
Why we don't need it at all.
Yeah,
You
real quick, we just want to remind everyone that we are waiting for Razorfist, but as Fluffy Panda says, better to be late than to wimp out on eating pineapple pizza. Fluffy
You guys
Panda.
gotta
Let's lay it
stop.
down. But we have the next best thing to Razorfist, which is Tom Connors Jr. from Midnight's Edge.
Hey, I
joining
did
us
dress
in
as
the morning.
Razorfist for Halloween one year.
Well, Razorfist actually showed up for your show, so you have those bragging rights.
Let me tell you, for every 10 links I've ever sent him, he shows up once. So
So you're saying
that's
there's
all
a
right.
chance.
So,
there's one chance if you keep doing this, he'll show up.
Hey,
Alright,
Tom, I'm a big fan of Midnight's Edge.
Hello,
you guys
Richard.
do great
Nice to
work.
meet you.
Same
yes, Richard Fox, best-selling science fiction author of the Ember Saga and Exiled Fleet, which is going to be a TV show, hopefully. Tom, what's your take on? I know you guys on Midnight's Edge covered this exhaustively, so I don't want to beat a dead horse. But what's your take on Disney's terrible numbers right now?
Well, really, I mean, the whole streaming wars thing, I wish we had found a way to trademark that years ago, because I'm pretty sure we coined it. Because we were talking about it before anybody else was. And we kind of predicted this is how it was going to go. I had said a couple weeks back, I think we've hit the end of the streaming war, and nobody won.
Everyone's surrendering.
Well, you had this analyst for Paramount come out and say, stop streaming. That's how you're going to save money, is stop streaming. Because what they did was, and going off of what Brian was saying, is they tried to replace cable before everybody was ready. And not only that, you have a situation where all of these companies are basically running loss leaders at this point. And Disney was one of the worst. So all this money that they claim they saved in streaming, I argued was, because they're actually releasing movies in theaters instead of everything going to Disney Plus. That's the only difference there. That's how they were able to quote unquote save money. And they also pay themselves for their movies. And this is not just them. This is everybody. So the problem we have here is Netflix. I mean, I think a lot of people looked at it the wrong way at the front. It should have been looked at as a format instead of a streaming service, because at this point, we just had the world's stupidest format war, and nobody won, right? These streaming services, they're stuck with them, because even though the analysts said, "Hey, Paramount, quit streaming," they can't now. They have sunk so much money into this, just like Disney and everybody else, that they're kind of stuck with it until it does become the future. And you guys are right, because that's where this writer's strike is coming from. A lot of the points they're trying to make and what they want out of this. Eventually, streaming is just going to become cable. The world wasn't ready for it yet, because there's people that are older that just will not adapt to this stuff. Not everybody can afford every service yet. I mean, as far as like having services and paying for them without watching them, Brian, we used to do the same shit with cable. Cable's always sucked too. I mean, I remember going weeks and months without ever watching anything on regular terrestrial television. I'd watch movies on DVD.
My old ass 85-year-old parents could go buy a Roku and get nothing but free stuff and be perfectly happy with stuff.
Could they run it though? See, like that's my issue.
Oh, yeah.
My parents,
it's one click. The Roku clicker.
I know what it is, but my dad is also somebody who stopped becoming technologically advanced with the CD. Right? Like that was his cutoff point. Prior to the CD, he can show you how to do a record, cassette, VCR, he could play a movie, but like a CD is too far advanced for him. And once things came to disc and digital, he just wasn't going to adapt to it. He's still stuck with regular cable, and he will until the day he dies. The only thing that's kind of changing his mind right now is he's like, "I'm going to have all this stupid crap for my sports."
Well,
because but no, at the end of the day, it's just a big loss leader for Disney.
Hey guys, if you could do me a quick favor, if you like this episode and it tickles your fancy, or any other episode that we've done in the past, share it on social media and tag us in that post so that we know you're talking about us, and we will immediately jump onto that app and we will respond to your tag, and we can talk about what you like about the episode and possibly talk about something that we might want to cover in the future. And we would love to bring you in our community. We have a wonderful Discord app as well. There's a bunch of people in there that just love chatting with us. And we'd love to hear from you. So if you like this podcast, tag us in that post and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Thank you guys so much. Back to the podcast.
Our first topic, we talked about Disney and basically like how terrible they're doing it financially. What's your take on this? Why do you think that Disney is doing so poorly right now?
I mean, if you're talking about Disney Plus, would have to be a linchpin of that. And I think we're all keen to the fact that the streaming thing is definitely in sort of, it's heading into that phase where we're clearly done with the everyone has a streaming service phase. We're to be cable with a different delivery mechanism, internet, right? Everything's going to be bundled into one service. We've just changed how we receive it. Although really we didn't change how we receive it, because how are we getting our internet? Through fucking cable. And through a cable company, right? So I think that's as much as anything else. I think they banked way too hard on Disney Plus at the wrong time. When they launched Disney Plus, I scratched my head. It was like, you're launching now, right? Like, we're already kind of going to head in this other direction. Netflix was already losing subscribers. By the way, why would you want to be the next Netflix when Netflix is not doing well? This was a failed prospect to begin with. And then you have the problem of, what if they built their brand on the last several years? Hell, what is the thing after years and years of them being in danger of near bankruptcy? I mean, the early 2000s, people forget Disney were in dire financial peril. What pulled them out of that was the advent of the superhero film. And superhero films, as I've said many times, have entered their fat Elvis phase. and we're now headed down the other side of the mountain there. So you combine those two things, what else do they have? They have the parks, and we can see how well that's going with their battle with DeSantis. It's, dude, on every front, they're getting donged. And that, to me, is what's going on. That, in addition to poisoning their public image and brand with being avowedly ideological and all of these other things, I mean, that also will poison the well a fair amount. But yeah, absolutely. I think it's really like a multi-front campaign where they're just shitting their own pants. Like, that's really what's going on.
Well, we know that basically their parks division on the European side, not the domestic side, has been saving their butts. But it looks like basically they're bleeding subscribers. A lot of their subscriptions are based off of like special deals that they made, and so like they're actually like in the red in terms of like tracking people on there. But I think the biggest thing is simply that they're not making quality content, and people can no longer trust Disney with their kids. They have to like screen this stuff, and so people are just moving away to find like a different alternative to Disney.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you have so many options, especially in terms of streaming, and especially when the superhero thing has been going on so long, it's really just reaching its natural nadir anyways. When you have another option, you're obviously going to go with it, especially when someone is off-putting ideologically, as Disney is for many, many people. Look, Disney did not make all their money appealing to people on the coasts, right? This is not what Bambi was made for. This is not what the Jungle Book was made. This was made for middle America. This was made for mom and pop. This is made for the people who go to church on Easter Sunday. And this is not the Disney of today.
So, Razor, I wanted to get.
Hey guys, if you like this podcast, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and comment below on your favorite video as well. That goes a long way with helping us boost our channel and get out there in front of more people. And it lets YouTube know that we're doing something right. And if you want to catch us live, we go live 2 times a week, once on Saturdays at 10 a.m. Pacific time and on Tuesdays at 1:30 p.m. Pacific time. So join us there in the chat. We will see you on the live stream. Stay salty.